So good morning students, welcome back. Today we'll discuss some objective question related to magnetic effect of electric current. So let's start the numerical. See students, our first question is two equal electric currents are flowing perpendicular to each other as shown in the following figure. AB and CD are perpendicular to each other. Look at students, we are given two perpendicular wire having equal current I, and we are given two wire also AB and CD. Suppose A, B, C, D are the points where we have to find magnetic field. Where do we expect the resultant magnetic field to be? Zero. As I explained, these are perpendicular wire, first and second having equal current. We are given four options on AB, on CD, on both AB and CD, none. None of these. Actually, suppose A is a point, B is a point, C is also a point, and D is also a point. We have to find A, B, C, D. At which point magnetic field will be zero. The magnitude of magnetic field will be zero due to this current flowing wire. Both the wires are held perpendicular to each other. Look at students. Before starting the solution, I'm going to tell you the I'm going to tell you the right hand thumb rule. What is right hand thumb rule? Roughly, I'm going to explain because this question is based on right hand thumb rule. Suppose that is a conductor wire having current I. Look, what is right hand thumb rule? When we hold a conductor wire in such a way that if thumb shows the direction of current is moving in upward direction. If thumb shows the direction of current, then the direction of finger always represents the direction of magnetic field. It means if its current is in upward direction like this, this is anti-clockwise. The direction of magnetic field will be what? Anti-clockwise. Students, that is right hand thumb rule. So now I'm going to use this right hand thumb rule in solving this question. How students? Look at. First of all, I'm going to find for point C. I'm going to apply right hand thumb rule for point C. Look at students. For point C, it lies between these two wires. When I applied right hand thumb rule for this, current is moving upwards. So look at students. This is the magnetic field what? Outward for this wire, and for this, when current is moving in this direction, when we hold a conductor wire like this, thumb shows the direction of current. In that condition, magnetic field will outwards. For this wire, magnetic field is outwards. For this wire, magnetic field is outwards as per right hand thumb rule. So at point C, magnetic field is outward. There is comes dot and there is come dot. In other way, we can write that magnetic field is what? Outward. Magnetic field is what? Outward. At C point, magnetic field due to these two wires in same direction. So at C point, magnetic field will not be zero because at C point, what is the direction of magnetic field? Outward. Now students, so at C point, magnetic field is not zero. Now students, so come at point A. Suppose. Now I'm going to applying magnetic field, right hand thumb rule for finding magnetic field at point A. Applying the right hand thumb rule, students, again. Look at students, current is moving in that direction. Thumb is showing the direction of current. Then direction of finger will represent direction of magnetic field. It means magnetic field will be what? Outward. Magnetic field is what? Outward. And due to this wire, when we hold, look at students, this is magnetic field in out. So for point A, due to this wire, the direction of magnetic field is what? Outward direction. And due to this wire, thumb showing the direction of current. So that is what? Inwards. So one is due to this wire outward, due to this wire inwards. These will be cancelled to each other, and net magnetic field will be what? Zero at point A. Now discuss at point D. Similarly, like this, at D point, magnetic field will not be zero by right hand thumb rule, and similar like this at B point, magnetic field will be what? 0. How? When we will applying right hand thumb rule for this wire. Look at students, see. So magnetic field what? Inverse direction. Okay. And for due to this, magnetic field what? Outward direction. Due to this, inward. Due to this, outward. As per right hand thumb rule, both will cancel each other. So net magnetic field will be what? 0. So we got the option at B point, at A and B point, at both the points magnetic field will be 0, and at C and D it will not be 0. So he is asking, where do we expect the resultant magnetic field will be 0? So on AB. So which one is the correct option? Option A is the correct option. At AB, at these points, magnetic field will be 0. Now students, question number second. See the language. An electron moving in a circular orbit of radius r makes an rotation per second. The magnetic field produced at the center has magnitude. We are given four options: 0, mu naught n square E by r. Mu naught is permeability. Okay. Mu naught n E upon 2r. Mu naught n E upon 2 pi r. Look at it. First of all, I'm going to explain the language of this question. What we are given. Simply we are given an electron. Okay. Suppose that is nucleus. That is an atom. An electron is revolving circular path with velocity v. Okay. And that's the radius. Now he's asking, an electron is moving in a circular orbit of radius r, makes n rotation. Small n is the number of rotation per second. Okay. Number of rotation per second means what? It is a frequency. Okay. We did the Biot-Savart law, and we did at its 3 application. You can check the previous YouTube video. You will get that. You will get there. The first application of Biot-Savart law: magnetic field at the center of current carrying coil is B equals to mu naught I upon 2r. Okay. Either we can write mu naught Ni upon 2r if number of turns n. Mu naught Ni upon 2r. Generally we use this from mu naught I upon 2r. This is a magnetic field at the center of current carrying coil. Here he is asking at the center. Magnetic field produced at the center. So we'll use this, the first application of Biot-Savart law. Okay. Now, but our answer is not in this given form. We have to find the value of current. Okay. How can you find the value of current, students? The rate of flow of charge, I equals to Q by T. The rate of flow of charge is called electric current. Okay. So Q as come as E. Charge of electron is small e. Okay. And time period, T is taken as capital T. That is the time period. Time taken in one revolution of electron is called time period. One last change we'll do. N is called frequency. The reciprocal of time period is called frequency. Okay. So T become E into N. When you transfer T upwards, it become N. Small n is frequency. Now finally what we'll get here? B as it is, mu as it is, what is I? We got the value of I. I is what? En, small en. Where E is charge of electron and small n is frequency. Remember, small n is what? Frequency. And there is 2r. So check the option, which one is correct? Mu naught En. Mu naught En upon 2r. Option C is the correct option. Okay, so what we did? We applied the first application of Biot-Savart law. Find magnetic field at the center of coil. Mu naught I upon 2r, either mu naught Ni upon 2r. Capital N is number of turns and small n is what? Frequency. Okay, that we are given as rotation per second. And just we put the value of I, that is En. So we got mu naught En upon 2r. C is the correct option. Okay, students. Now students, question number 3. Two circular coils 1 and 2 marked as 1 and 2 are made from the same wire having same material, but the radius and resistance of the first coil is twice that of second coil. That is important condition that we are given. what ratio of the potential difference in volt should be applied across them so that the magnetic field at their centers is the same. Look at students, actually we are given two coils, okay, 1 and 2. Suppose coil, this is marked 1 and that coil has marked 2, okay, are made by same wire, and we know how much magnetic field generate at the center of coil by Biot-Savart first application. B equals to mu naught I upon 2 R1, okay, and for second coil what will be its value? B2 equals to mu naught I upon 2 R2. Okay students, now we will use the given condition. Like students, this is as first equation and this is as second equation. We are given that what ratio of the potential difference in the volt should be applied across them so that the magnetic field of their center is same. Both having same magnetic field, that is a given condition. So B1 equals to B2. Put the value of B1, mu naught I upon R1. Radius to get. The radius and resistance of first coil is twice than second. So R1 written as 2R, okay. Mu naught, suppose current is I1 and that current is I2 also, okay. So I1 and I2, and radius is R2 written as R. Second have radius R, then first having twice, then 2R, understood. And what is the value of I1 and I2? I1 as V by R, V by 2R, because we are given the resistance also twice of first coil as compared to second, and I2 will be V by R, simple. So use here mu naught I1 written as 2 2s are 4, 4R, I1 written as V by 2R, so V by 2R, and mu naught I2 written as only V by R, so this comes V by R. This is V1 and this is V2, V by R, and that is 2R. Okay, this is the value of I1, this is the value of I2. Okay students, now we define potential difference in volt. So students, what will we do? Now I'm going to remove this portion. We define the ratio of potential difference. We define ratio of V1 and V2. Look at mu naught to mu naught cancel out. Okay. Then R, resistance to resistance cancel out. Radius to radius cancel out. Capital R is resistance and small r is radius. Okay students. And 2 cancel out. This is V1 by 4 and that is V2 by 1. So what is the ratio? V1 by V2 is to 4s2 by 1. 4s2 by 1, it means what? Which one is the correct option? Yes, option C is the correct option. The ratio of two coils of potential difference at the center will be 4:1. It means only 4. So C is the correct option. Okay students? Now students, question number 4th. Let's see the language of this question. Two similar coils of radius R are lying concentrically with their planes at right angle. That is an important condition to each other. The current flowing in them are I and 2I respectively. The resultant magnetic field induction at the center will be. Look at students. First of all, I am going to explain the language of this question. Radius we are given as R, okay, and the current is of first coil I and second is 2I. That is a given condition. We just note here. Now I am going to remove the question. You can take a screenshot of this question. Now we have to find magnetic field at the center of two concentric perpendicular coil. Okay, this is the first coil. Okay students, and now that will be the second coil. Both are concentric and are perpendicular to each other. Okay students, now this is suppose first coil, this is marked as first coil and this one is marked as second coil. Okay, and having current, first having current I and second we are given current as 2I. In that coil we are 2I. Okay, so look at this first coil will produce magnetic field at its center. That is what? That magnetic field will be what? Magnetic field at the center. We know by the first application of Biot-Savart law, B equals to mu naught I upon 2R. Okay, generally just we have written the formula mu naught I upon 2R. Now students, both the coil will generate magnetic field. So what will the magnetic field? First coil will produce magnetic field along the axis, that is B1. Second coil produce magnetic field along its axis, that is B2, and their resultant magnetic field will be represented by this line. Okay students, so what will be resultant? We'll write about resultant magnetic field, that will be root of B1 square plus B2 square plus 2 B1 B2 cos theta. Both the coil B1 and B2 are held perpendicularly. Both the coil are held perpendicular to each other. So theta will be 90 and cos 90 will be 0. So this part will eliminate, will remain only B1 square and B2 square. B1 is the magnetic field of the first, magnetic field at the center of first coil, and B2 is the magnetic field of second coil. What is the value of B1 actually? Mu naught I upon, look at radiuses are, first coil having current I, so mu naught I upon 2R, while second coil having mu naught 2I upon 2R. Understood? This is the magnetic field at the center of coil of first, magnetic field of center coil of second, first having current I, that we are given second current, second coil having current 2I. Okay, now we'll put this value in this equation number first, instead B1 and B2. So now students, I'm going to remove this upper portion. You can take a screenshot, you can write this. Okay, now put in that equation first. So B dash will be what? What is B1? Mu naught I upon 2R whole square, and this is what? Look at 2 and 2 cancel out. So mu naught I upon R whole square. What is common in that? Mu naught I upon R is common, and there remains mu naught I upon R is outside, 1 upon 2, 1 by 4, and that's 1. Okay, so B dash equals to mu naught I upon R. B dash will equals to 5 remains root 5, that is mu naught I, square root of 4 is 2, so it comes outside 2R. So which one is the correct option? Root 5 mu naught I upon 2R. So option A is the correct option. This one is the correct option. This will be the total magnetic field at the center, and this will be the direction of that resultant magnetic field. Okay, we found magnetic field of first coil, this is a magnetic field of second coil, and this is showing the resultant magnetic field. And I applied the formula of law of vector addition. What is the formula of law of vector addition? B equals to B1 square plus B2 square plus 2 B1 B2 of cos theta, and we got the resultant magnetic field at the center of coil. Okay students, now see students, question number 5. A proton and an alpha particle. Actually 1H1 is the symbol of proton, hydrogen is called proton, and 2H4 helium is called alpha particle. Okay, enter in uniform magnetic field with the same velocity the time period of rotation of the alpha particle will be, we are given the 4 option, 4 times of that of proton, 2 times of that of proton, 3 times of that of the proton, and same as that of the proton. So you can take a screenshot of this question. Now I'm going to remove the question. Okay, in order to solve the question, we are given 1H1 proton and 2He4 as an alpha particle. We know, we did in cyclotron, whenever the charged particle revolve in circular path, okay, what will be its time period? Time taken in complete one revolution is called time period. The time period is 2 pi m upon qb. That is the formula. Okay, where m is the mass of the charged particle, q is the charge, the value of charge, and b is what? Magnetic field around that. So first of all, I'm going to find for proton. Tp, time period of proton, 2 pi m upon qb, equation first. Now I'm going to find for T alpha, time period for alpha. You have to know, look at, this is showing the charge, atomic number generally showing the charge, the value of charge, and this is showing the value of mass. The charge of alpha is double of charge of proton. Charge of alpha is double of charge of proton, and mass of alpha is 4 times of mass of proton. Understood? That is an important condition you have to know for in order to solve this question. Okay. Now, so we'll make one change here. Mass written as 2m. Mass written as 4m because mass is 4 times. Mass of alpha is 4 times of mass of proton. So we assume mass of proton as m. So what will be for alpha particle? 4m, obvious. And charge 2q. Okay, students? Velocity first divided by second. T proton by T alpha, and that 2 pi m upon qb divided by 2 pi 4 m upon 2qb. So T proton by T alpha will come as, look at, 2 pi cancel out, okay, m to m cancel out, qb and qb cancel out, okay, and finally students 2 and 2 cancel out, 2 and 4 cancel out, so it remains 2 and 4 cancel out, remains only 2, okay. So T alpha cross multiply twice of proton. It means the time period of alpha particle is twice of time period of proton. So check the option 4, 2, 3, same. 2 times of that of proton. 2 times of that of proton. So which one is the correct option? Yes, B is the correct option. Okay, students.